out of my own context for the 21st century. I decided that we need to pay more attention to what is happening here in the United States. There are two very significant changes that is happening in our lifetime. One is the shifting demographics. According to the forecast, by 2042, there will no longer be a majority population here in the United States. The non-Hispanic white population, which stands at 63% in 2012, will decline to 46% by the year 2050. 2050, some of us will still be around. Many of us may still be around. And that is where you begin to see some of the major shifts. For those of us who come from California, this change has happened more quickly than anywhere else. Today in California, the non-Hispanic white population stands at 39.4%. The Hispanic, Latina population stands at 38.2%. The Asian population, including South Asians, today in California is 13.9%. The African American population is 6.6%. Native American population is 1.7%. Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander 0.5%. Two or more races 3.6%. That is how diverse California has become, and many states will has been moving in the same direction. Secondly, I come from what is referred to in the United States as the mainline Protestant tradition. Protestant Christianity in the United States has been on the decline for the last 50 years. At the same time, you begin to see the growth of non-Christian religions, growing from 1972 from 2010. The increase has been from 0.5% to 8.1% today. Those of you who belong to the Jaina community, you are part of the growth. And that growth will continue. So out of this context of the changing population, of the growing religious diversity here in the United States, I have for some time begun to argue that those of us who are training religious leaders, first from the Christian community, must begin to change. We must begin to train our leaders differently in order to reflect the kind of world that we live in. If our societies and communities are no longer religiously homogeneous, but increasingly pluralistic, we must prepare religious leaders that have knowledge of and conversation with other religious traditions to engage our neighbors in a complex society of multiple relations of difference requires that religious education, the training of religious leaders, be carried out in dialogue with other religious traditions, whereby we can learn new modes of religious discourse, religious language, religious engagement. And it is only in so doing can we begin to prepare students to come to a better understanding and appreciation of other religious traditions. And so it is out of that context that we begin to see that since 9/11, interfaith efforts and events have been spreading across the country, all over the campuses. And it is no longer uncommon for churches, temples, mosques to hold interfaith services. Many of you have been part of interfaith work in your own communities. That's the kind of work that's growing and growing. Religious life on college campuses has become more and more interfaith. Dr. Ibu Patel, who founded the Interfaith Youth Corps in 2002, says this: a generation of students is saying that they want to be interfaith leaders. Just like previous generations say they wanted to be human rights activists or environmentalists. And it is out of this context that the idea of an interreligious education was born in the context of Claremont School of Theology. We want to be relevant, we want to respond to the context. And so around 2009, my predecessor, President Jerry Campbell, began to engage two other colleagues, one Jewish, the other Muslim, Dr. Mel Gottlieb from the the Academy of Jewish Religion in California, and Dr. Jihad Turk, who was one of the leaders of the Islamic Society of Southern California. They began to get together to study one another's texts. And it is out of that context that the idea of an interreligious university came about. And that idea came to fruition, finally, with the passionate support of Mr. David Lincoln and Mrs. Joan Lincoln, who helped fund that idea. And that idea came to fruition. And so today we have Claremont Lincoln University, founded by three Abrahamic faiths: Jewish, Muslim, and Christian. But it has grown since then, since 2011. And now the Jain community is part of that. The Center for Jain Studies was started. The Center for Jain Studies was started as part of Claremont Lincoln University. And this fall, the first professor of Jain Studies at Claremont Lincoln University began teaching her courses. We are also in the process of conversation with the Sikh community, with the Hindu community, as well as with the Buddhist community out of the University of the West. This is what is going to enable religious leaders in the society to work with one another and be able to help transform society and be able to work across differences to create a different world for all of us and for our next generation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr.